What is up, my Shadowverse soldiers, and welcome back to another Shadowverse Evolved video. So last time we were doing the Dragon Craft reveals, and now we're on the Forest Craft reveals. And I know a lot of people are looking forward to this because Forest Craft was just definitely dominating the Uma meta. All the Uma cards that came out just gave Forest Craft a huge buff, and honestly, people were thinking, yeah, you know, in set 3, Forest Craft is finally going to be on the map. Well, Uma put Forest Craft on the map, and even in set 3, Forest Craft is getting even stronger. So let's go ahead and figure out what cards are coming out in Forest Craft in set 3. Alright, so the first card we're going to be looking at is Abby the Axe Girl, and she has an ability with Strike. So when she swings, give this follower +1 attack. Then if this follower has 5 or more attack, deal 2 damage to each enemy leader. This is pretty alright ability on the fact that, you know, when she's gonna have to stick around and have an extra ability of, you know, gaining that +1 attack. But there might be some other cards that give a follower like +1 attack. I'm pretty sure there's an amulet that, I don't know if it's for like pixie followers, but I'm pretty sure you can give a Forest Craft follower +1 attack. So this could also help with this card if you want to generate some value and get that burn very quickly if you want. Alright, and the next card we have is Beauty and the Beast, another Fable card. So this has Rush and Aura, some pretty good stats already. But when it's played, you put a Fable counter on this card. If this follower is put onto the field from anywhere other than your hand, give this follower Storm. And you can activate to remove any number of Fable counters from this card, and you can give this follower +X+X. X equals the number of Fable counters removed with this effect. So already, it's going to be a 6/8 if you play it through the regular ability, and then, you know, it has Rush too, so you can swing with it as soon as it's played, and if it's played from your deck, it has Storm, so you can swing straight to face. So watch out for that in those later turns. I don't know if there's like a neutral Fable card that lets you get something out of your deck and then play it. That'd be pretty nice, and you get that one Fable card, get that plus up, but I hope that there's going to be some more ways to put more Fable counters on cards like this. Next up, we have Cosmos Fang, so you can evolve it for 1, and then you return another follower on your field to its owner's hand. I like that it's, you know, keeping that traditional Forest Craft thing to evolve this follower. And also, when it's played, you search your deck for a beast follower, reveal it, and then add it to your hand. If it costs 2 or less play points, put it onto your field instead. So you can already get that bounce effect for Cosmos Fang. You swing with something, you know, evolve a Cosmos Fang, put it back to your hand, and then you can go through your deck and get any beast card, and you can get Beauty and the Beast, honestly, if you want to set up your next turn or your turns later on. Or you can get something, hopefully, I don't know what beast cards cost 2 or less, hopefully we'll figure out in the later reveals. And then you can go ahead and put it into your hand and then put it into play. So I like that combo nicely. Alright, looking at Cosmos Fang Evolve. So on Evolve, you select the enemy follower on the field and return it to its owner's hand. If you selected an evolved follower, destroy it instead. So that's pretty good. I love the fact that Forest Craft is getting so much removal. Like, that's the one thing it was lacking, like, prior to set 2. You know, we got the Crystallia Lily, and that put something onto the bottom of its deck. Now, it feels like every Forest Craft card that costs 5 or more, or, you know, at least 3 or more, can either get rid of something. Like, you know, let's say they play like a huge 7-drop. If it doesn't have Aura, well, guess what, buddy? It's either going back into your hand or to the bottom of your deck. So I'm glad Forest Craft is getting the removal that it needs. Alright, the next card we're looking at is Elf Twins Assault. So with the 2-drop quick, you can select the 2 enemy followers on the field and deal X damage divided between them. X equals the number of cards in your EX area. So it looks like Forest Craft got herself a little fire chain. That's pretty nice. And it's not even capped at the number 3. It's capped at the number 5, because that's how many cards can be in your EX area. So decks like Abyss Aggro and Swordcraft definitely have a harder time getting through Forest Craft now, and I like that. Moving forward, we have Fin Sprite. So when you play Fin Sprite, you select an enemy follower on the field and it can attack on its controller's next turn. So it looks like Forest Craft is getting some nice control cards, and the fact that you can swing with this and then, you know, put it back into your hand and then play it again is absolutely amazing. So you can keep something locked down, that being something without Aura, because you have to select it. But, you know, for instance, let's say you're going up against Abysscraft and they play Soul Dealer, and then, you know, they get rid of one of your cards and then they leave the ward guy up, and he's going to be swinging for 7 next turn. Well, buddy, I have Fin Sprite that's going to keep him and keep him locked so he can't attack, but you can still engage him for the ward. But guess what? That next turn he's probably going to the bottom of your deck. So this is a pretty nice card for Forest Craft. Next up, we have Floral Breeze. So for 1, you can select a card on your field, return it to its owner's hand, and give your leader +1 defense. So instead of Nature's Guidance of drawing yourself a card, you know, and doing that, you can now heal 1, and then, you know, if you're doing this off of Harvest Pistol, you heal 1 and you draw a card. So is this going to replace Nature's Guidance? I'm not sure, but this is still a nice card to have, especially for, you know, if you're generating like a combo deck for Forest Craft. All right, next up we have Flower Princess, and when Flower Princess is played, you put a fairy token into your EX area, and then combo 3, you put a fairy tale counter on this card, and you can activate to engage this card and remove a fairy tale counter, and then you select an enemy follower on the field and deal it 3 damage. That's pretty good for a 2-drop. It feels like it's a, a miniature surefire bullet in turns of a follower 2, and the fact that you can put this card back into your hand and then do it again, so for those early game cards, you can definitely deal with them. So it looks like Forestcraft is going to have a lot of combo going on with this Flower Princess. And the fact that she's a 2-drop, I don't know if Laevateinn is going to move over to the right because of this card, but I know Flower Princess is still strong in case of removal. So yet again, Forestcraft is getting more removal. All right, next up we have Bear. So you evolve him for 1, and whenever a card is returned from your field to your hand, you give your leader +1 defense. So I feel like the crazy combo I'm thinking of is Elf Healer. I believe you heal for 3 off of Elf Healer. I can't think off the top of my head, but you do Elf Healer, have Bear on field, and then you use Floral Breeze, and then you healed a total of maybe 5 that turn. So those are Havencraft numbers heals, guys. Looks like Forestcraft is going to be doing a lot of healing if they're rocking this in this deck, and this also helps with like a combo. So shout out to Bear. Let's figure out what his Evo does. So Bear Evo, whenever a card is returned from your hand, you do give yourself +1 defense still, and on evolve, you search your deck for a Floral Breeze and reveal it and add it to your hand. So you can go ahead and fetch the spell card that lets you heal for 1 for putting a card back into your hand with the Evo. So that's pretty nice in the early turns. Next up we have Magical Fairy Lilac. So you can activate to engage this card and put a fairy tale counter on this card. You can activate for 1 play point and remove a fairy tale counter from this card, and you select the enemy follower in the field and destroy it. That's pretty nice. You spend 1 and then you don't even have to engage her for that second ability to just straight up remove something. But you do have to engage her to put a fairy tale counter on her. So make sure she survives that next turn if you're able to. But for just to remove anything for 1 is absolutely good. Moving forward, we have Slade Blossoming Wolf. So you can evolve for 0, and you can only evolve if you've returned a card from your hand this turn. When this card is returned to your hand from the field, you may put a Forestcraft follower that costs 2 or less play points from your hand onto the field. So it looks like how this card works, it definitely just goes in the way of combo. So you can play cards like Flower Princess and Laevateinn that have those evolve, or not the evolve, but the combo 3, and that, you can play them for free and then get that combo 3, and then you can generate more value throughout your turn. So let's figure out what the Slade Blossoming Wolf does on Evo. All right, and we've got the Slade Blossoming Wolf Evo. So it still has the same ability of when this card returned to your hand, you can still play that Forestcraft follower with an energy cost of 2. And then on evolve, you draw a card. So let's say I have Harvest Festival and then, bounce it back to my hand, have Slade Blossoming Wolf, I Evo, I draw a card that's a +2. And then I bounce this card back into my hand, and then you're able to play, a 2-drop follower, that being Laevateinn, or, the Flower Princess, and you're on combo 3 already. So that's absolutely amazing for Forestcraft. All right, and we have Tweedledum and Tweedledee. So usually I'm used to hearing that name the other way around, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, but you can evolve it for 1, and let's figure out what this evolve does. All right, so the Evo for these two on evolve, you look at the top 4 cards of your deck and reveal a card that costs 1 play point from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. It'd be pretty cooler if you could play the 1-drop card, but I guess Forestcraft can't be too broken. But on the other hand, the fact that you're able to look for any of your bounce cards, and even you can search for your spell cards, that being, Angelic Snipe and whatnot, seems pretty good for Tweedledum and Tweedledee to be played. All right, next up we have Wood of Brambles, and at the start of your main phase, destroy this card. While this card is on your field, your followers have Follower Strike, deal 2 damage to enemy follower. And then when it's played, you summon a fairy token, and if it's a combo 3, you give it Rush. So it seems like whenever you play this card, and then if it's combo 3, you get that fairy token with Rush, and then when it swings, it deals 2 damage to an enemy follower. And if you are setting up like a huge turn in the late game and you have a whole bunch of followers on the field, you can definitely like swing for face and then deal 2 damage as you keep going. I think this is actually a pretty good card for like maybe fairy token spam. And it kind of reminds me, I think it's called Wood Elk or Mana Elk, and every time you swing with the fairy token, you can burn something for 1. So I think that paired up with the fairy token spam might, put fairy tokens in like a little bit of a highlight spot, but I don't think so. Alright, and lastly, we have Woodland Band. So when you play it for 1, you look at the top 4 cards of your deck and you put a Fairy Tale follower from among them into your EX area, and you put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. And you can also activate to engage this card and put this card into your cemetery, and you can select a Fairy Tale follower on your field and put a Fairy Tale counter on it. So this is actually a pretty good card. For 1, helps with combo, and then like cards like Lilac that have to engage themselves to put a Fairy Tale counter on it. Well, what if you don't want to engage Lilac because you're afraid your opponent's gonna have like a crazy turn to remove her? Well, you know, with Woodland Band, you can use that, engage this, put a Fairy Tale counter on Lilac, and then you can also use that 1 play point you potentially have for Lilac and, you know, use it to engage her to destroy a follower. So I feel like you can generate more value by putting a Fairy Tale counter using Woodland Band than using it with like the Lilac or anywhere else. Alright guys, well that is the end of the video. I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for being here. Y'all don't understand how much it means to me that you watch my content. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know how I'm doing. Alright guys, make sure you're safe whatever you do tonight, and safe whatever you do for the rest of the year. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
I gave you all my love, baby, my heart is cold when you're around. You warm it up, liquid gold, baby, yeah, you warm it up, liquid gold, baby, and my affection, all that paper you wasted. Take my love.